Hi y'all. So now you probably actually think that I only have one outfit. This is my third video in a row. I swear. I swear. I have more than one outfit, I promise. Today I thought I would talk about the difference between contouring and bronzing. And I know that this is probably not going to be that helpful a video. I mean, it's just an FYI. A lot of people ask, I've had people ask me what the difference between contouring and bronzing is, and you know, it took me a while to figure out too. I only figured out like 3 weeks ago the difference between contouring and bronzing. Apparently, there is a difference. Um, but yeah, if you're just getting into makeup and you're super curious about what all these words mean, then this is the right video for you. And so let's get right into it. So I have some notes here. I'm just gonna constantly be looking down at my phone. Um, so let's start with contouring. Contouring is when you are purposely sculpting and defining your face quite precisely, actually, with a thin, flat brush to draw lines down the bottom of your cheekbones, on your jawline, down the sides of your nose, and some lines on your forehead as well. And then this is usually accompanied by a highlighting shade, a matte highlighting shade, not like the blinding highlight. The matte highlighting shade that is usually in the form of a cream concealer or a liquid concealer, and it goes here and here and here and here and on your cupid's bow as well, and sometimes under here. And you see this a lot on Instagram, and honestly, for me, that isn't a look I want to wear every day. But I mean, if it's something you want to wear every day, then by all means, you do you, and there's nothing wrong with that. But for me, I feel like it's too heavy for an everyday, and it's too much work. I'm too lazy to do that every day, to have a full beat face. This is what people actually mean by beat face: contoured and sculpted. Um, and a lot of people use a contour stick or a liquid bronzer to literally like put lines on their face and then blend it out. Um, and this is usually done on top of a layer of foundation. And um, and some people don't. They just like straight up put the product on right on top of a primer, or no primer at all, God forbid. Um, but yeah, that's usually done on top of a layer of foundation that matches their skin tone. So the contour shade is darker, one or two or three shades darker than the person's skin tone, and then the highlighting shade is one or two shades lighter than the actual shade. And then the foundation underneath kind of levels it out after it's already been blended. Okay, so on the other hand, bronzing is usually, but not always, done with a powder, and this is what I do on a daily basis. I'm wearing bronzer right now, so it's not totally defined. I find that I have very high cheekbones already. I'm very proud of my high cheekbones. So um, I just use bronzer to sculpt it a little bit and then put some on my jaw and my forehead, just like all over the place. And right now I'm using the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. And this is a very buttery product, but it's not a cream or liquid. As you can see, it's just a compact. And I use a fluffier brush instead of a brush designated for contouring. Instead of using a brush designated for contouring, I use this one. I'm pretty sure this is not for contouring, but it's very dense, very fluffy, so I just dip it into my bronzer and just apply it like this in circles, and I get this look. So I must be doing something right. And if you have seen my best of e.l.f. products video, you remember that I mentioned this, the e.l.f. bronzing palette, and I mentioned that you can use a powder bronzer to set a cream contour down. And so, especially if your cream contour is super orange or super wet, you just want to get a muted bronzer shade and just set that instead of using a translucent powder, because that might dull the color, which is basically what we're doing with this. But I mean, you know what I mean. And bronzer also comes in the form of a liquid bronzer. I know Cover FX has one where they do the little drippy drip things. So if you're going for a more subtle look, then you don't have to use contour and you can just put bronzer on directly. I try to keep it light. This is an everyday look for me. I don't have primer on. God forbid. Oh God. I don't have primer on, but I do have a layer of lotion under this, so it helps me apply it pretty smoothly without having any patchy unevenness. And since the product is so buttery, it is very lenient with me not using any foundation or any base besides lotion. So if you want to wear foundation though, and you're going for a more subtle look and you don't really want to go for the beat face that day, then you can totally just put bronzer right on top, but you gotta make sure to blend it out so that you don't have harsh streaks of brown down your cheeks, and that's just unflattering. So if you don't like wearing foundation, you can just wear bronzer by itself, which is what I'm doing. I don't like wearing foundation. I only have a CC cream. I don't even own a foundation. But each to their own. So if you don't like wearing foundation, you can just wear it on its own. And there's no problem with using concealer as your foundation for the contour and highlighted areas. So I know that ColourPop recently came out with some concealers, and a lot of the darker colors in that range would be great for someone like with a complexion like mine to use as contour, and then you can directly put on the concealer as your contour and then use a brighter concealer for the highlighting parts. So if it's powder bronzer and you don't want to use foundation, at least make sure there is a layer of lotion, because the powder bronzer can apply really patchily, as you might be able to see in one of my previous tutorials. It applies really patchily if you don't go in with a light hand. It doesn't happen with this one though. This one's really good. Make sure you at least have a layer of primer or lotion, so that way your bronzer will also stay on longer, because I know it will have trouble staying on if you don't have any base. And also, one last tip, you don't have to suck in your cheeks. It's just, I mean, you can if you want to, but I mean, it's pretty easy to find where your cheekbone is. For me, sucking my cheeks in doesn't really help that much, but if it helps you, I mean, keep doing it. I'm just saying that you don't have to if you don't want to. You can just find it and blend it out. And yeah, be sure to not apply it too low. And then if you put on too much in this area, then use a powder to kind of erase the excess bronzer. And be sure when you first apply it, blend upwards, so that there isn't like this unwanted shadow like right under here that you don't want. That is it for now. I really hope you found this video helpful. I will see you next time with another video. Bye. Please subscribe.